the My Neighborhood show. I shall now show you around my neighborhood. By the way, my name is Great.
We looked at the house for the very first time. We drove down to Long Branch Park. I walked out and I stared out at the lake and I'm like, is this the right place for us? I'm like, yep. And then we drove to Marie Curtis directly after that, and your mom and you were playing on the swings, and we were just walking around the park. It's the very first thing we did.
That's
we went
true.
to those two parks, and we're like,
this is good.
This is a good community for us.
Are we good to move on?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So the exercise we're going to be doing together is an art-based exercise. And we're going to have some fun. You guys can go to your tables. You can talk to your friends while you're doing it. You can do whatever you want. We're going to be doing like sketches. What you're going to draw is, imagine you're a park or playground or both architect. So it's your job to design a park or playground. You're going to draw what you would put in it. Would you put, I heard some people say they don't like slides. Maybe your park wouldn't have slides. Heard some people say they don't like monkey bars. Maybe your park wouldn't have monkey bars. Maybe your park would have a slide, but it would need a cover on it so that when it rains, you don't get all wet. Yeah. So maybe keep these things in mind we just talked about, and you can just draw whatever you want. You can have, maybe there are people in your park. Maybe there's a lot of wind in your park. Maybe there's a lot of yelling in your park. Does that sound good? Okay, so we're going to start with sketching it in pencil, and then you're going to show me, Megan, or Ms. Chard, and then we're going to give you a new piece of paper, and you're going to draw it out and like color it in however you want. Sound good? Okay, go take a seat.
The second I was too old for like going to the park, that's when they all got renovated. I do remember reflecting, was like, why now? Like, what's the purpose, I guess? Because they were like, I mean, they weren't high-end parks, but I had a lot of fun with them. Like, they were beneficial to me. It did make me think, like, is there more of a draw to this area now? Or they're trying to create a draw to this area, and that's why, like, things are getting renovated? Because I noticed it with, like, other things, too. Like, my childhood pizza used to be so, like, warm and familiar. It had this party area with like a clown or something, and then they renovated it a couple years ago, and now it's just like black and orange. I might be biased in terms of the parks because like the old ones are the ones that I grew up on, but they felt like they had character, and then all the rest they like kind of look the same.
No, thank you. I'm not trying to. I'm going to make my park wheelchair accessible. There's this type of swing from when I was growing up and still now where it's kind of like a chair, but it's like you can put like somebody in it, like for younger kids or people that can't really swing that well. I used to want it with my sister that couldn't walk. She has a disability. So I added a rock climbing wall, and then I added one of those like fire things where if you're up, there's like a pole where you can go down, so you don't have to walk the stairs. And then I added a mini loop slide.
Well, my building Actually, we're currently going through something like that right now, where the management for the property has changed a lot of times throughout the last few years. And currently the owner is trying to kick everybody out, rebuild each unit while we're still living there. He was offering, I think, a base of like 7,000 to leave. But now you're paying 2,500, almost 3,000 for, it's nicer, but it's like the same size. That whole area where it's all the buildings. There's like a big park in the middle now with a basketball court, but half those buildings weren't there like 10 plus years ago. It was green fields and just hills.
The sand pit of a playground, there's always a bunch of like toys there. And it feels like people leave toys there for like all the children to play with, and no one takes them home. It's like one of the rare instances where there's no ulterior motives, there's no selfishness. This is just something that's like left there for everyone to enjoy, and then no one ruins it.
I do think for this neighborhood, to go to Marie Curtis Park, a lot of these kids, it's great. They spend a lot of time there, especially over the summer. I've always liked this community because it's very mixed socioeconomically, and I like that, actually. I do find that's less the case now.
A bit before I was born, she lived in Lakeshore, and a lot of the stuff here now was not there. It was a lot different. When she grew up, a lot of the people she knew were Jamaican, Trinidadian, Guyanese, all these West Indian countries. And then they would have different events at even the park there. There's a basketball court there. They would have tournaments and everything where everyone just come and barbecue and everything like that. They would have fashion stuff going on. You would see kids outside playing. You would see kids in the neighborhood kind of just, everyone knew each other. But now there's buildings that are townhouses now that are like 1 point something million. I never see the people who live there. Everything is just as if it's been forgotten about the last 10 years or so. It's kind of like what happened.
There's a park where I go to that is not that welcoming. It's usually a busy park, but I go in like not that early, like in afternoon, and nobody's there. When I'm walking by it, there's lots of people, but when I go there to play, nobody's there.
They had a old wooden park, and then they changed it to entirely metal, so then it was just very dangerous because when it was like brand new, a bunch of people cut their finger.
One thing that I like about that playground is there's this one place where it just like spins around and spinny thing. Yeah, like we all call it the spinny thing, and it's fun because I go on it with my friends.
It's like spin very, very fast. I cannot stand. When I stand, my feet is like like fly away.
It's a big park because I wanted to make it big, and I want to make like a dry area and a wet area and a kind of cool area. But Jenny is under the bridge. Right here. And I'm not playing anymore. I don't want to talk about skate.
These rocks, they'd become jagged over time, or maybe that's how they were placed. But there was lots of cracks and crevices like here and there, and it felt more like nature rather than the uniform like flat rocks that have replaced it, which suck. When me and my sister were younger, there used to be wood that would float up in the lake, and We spent like a whole summer collecting that wood and using yarn that we bought from the dollar store to tie the wood planks together to like cover the cracks. That was part of the invention, like the creativity that we were doing, and it was fun, and we made it our own space. And that's just been like stripped away because it's already done for you.
One thing that happened that was really, really obvious was when they decided to rebuild JSB in terms of the playgrounds and stuff. It didn't really bring people in more.
There's a real disconnect too when the community and the residents are getting wealthier overall, but their kids are being sent elsewhere.
And then there's other programs like your program, which, you know, I agree and disagree with. A gift program, you take kids in the neighborhood and you ship them elsewhere. It makes no sense. I remember your year. And then you guys all left. And the tax dollars left with you. You get paid per head, right? So the funding of the school left with you. The director of the TDSB created a bunch of niche schools. He created music academies, and they put fancy words like academy and stuff like that. Some of these have stayed and some have kind of faded. And we became a sports and wellness academy.
I was outside that all the time. You know, I functioned outside of that. However, going back to James S. Bell, that didn't matter. There was a very welcoming, who wants to get involved? We can always use another pair of hands. I'm a pretty firm old school believer that you keep your kid in your homeschool and your homeschool high school and all of that, and that is fundamentally important because it's identity related in terms of where you're rooted. That's why moving you to Broad Acres was such a really harsh decision. I was second guessing a fundamental value I had of like, this is your community. Why would you go anywhere else? But what is really sad is for a parent to have to question that at all. I feel anger about that a bit. The parks are related because it's like, I would take you to all the parks and sometimes there'd be nobody to play with. And I'd be like, well, where's everybody?
Do you think if you asked those parks the same questions now, they would say the same things to you?
That's a really good question. Maybe not.
I don't know. We'd have to be in that situation, right? Because what we were trying to get a sense of was, would this be a good place to raise our kids? Right?
I know, but if
But
you were raising us today in the same position you were in then, with like basically no money, right?
That's an excellent question. That might be the crux of the most important part of this whole conversation, and I think no.
the thing is, we couldn't afford to. If we were in that same situation, we couldn't afford like the lowest price houses in this neighborhood were then $330,000 to $350,000, $360,000. Well, now
they're 1.2.
Yeah, given who we were then, we couldn't afford to buy a house in this neighborhood.
But if we just went into Marie Curtis Park or whatever, we might have just gone, this is out of our league.
Right.
We would have probably walked around as it is today and gone, out of our league. Whereas at the time it was bare, it was just bare, you know, it was a bare beach and it was unknown.
It was raw.
It was very raw, and so, yeah.
That is a big tree. I think my brother said this is a big tree. There's a beautiful green gate. This is me. Sorry, but it is the end of today's exploring show. See you next time.